It's a very simple, it's a quick tie. The person that came up with this fly, I think is that he came up with it, but anyways, so I work down at Follies, and every October we have a gentleman comes in from the State College area named Tony Dranzo. He's a guide service. He has a card called Addicted Angler. He does slideshows, presentations, teaching, casting, the whole 9 yards. So anyways, he comes up every October for about 3 weeks for steelhead fishing, and he has clients that he meets up here and whatnot. And he kept talking about this fly called the Titan. I'm like, all right, well, you know, just somebody else's fly again. But so the water obviously in October was very low, very clear and whatnot. And he said it's a great fly for those conditions, especially just clear water. So if I don't want to pass these around, these are 2 of his steelhead version. Can you just pass those around? And then he also has one for what he uses for brown trout made out of copper. It's copper color, so it's copper with the gold eye. It's the same thing. But it's just 3 basic things. You got the hook, well 4. The hook, some bead eyes, polar flash, and some kind of like crystal flash or whatever. It's not really important. I don't even think it's necessary, but I was watching him tie them in the shop one day, and he has orders for them, or people, you know, they order a dozen at a time. It's a nice fly. It's kind of just a flash fly. But if you pass it around, the only thing I did different when I started tying these, he uses white thread. I thought, well, if it's a streamer, why not use some red thread? Make both white and red, the red for being the gills or whatnot. I haven't had a chance to try them out yet due to things, but Lucas in our shop, he was fishing the Polar Flash Pearl version, and he was catching steelhead in the low clear water with that fly. So it does work. It's very simple. It's just bead chain eyes, a little bit of crystal flash, like I said, and polar flash. And then they also sell it in copper version, and you could use different materials, but you get the idea for the fly. And you can tie them larger, smaller, whatever size that you've deemed necessary. But so he uses the bead chain eyes, but in heavier water you might want to go to some weighted eyes too. So you can tie them, and this is just the basic pattern. You can go from there. All right, so first we're going to start with bead chain eyes, and you normally put them back a little bit, like a third of the way. You're just going to put them just behind the eye of the hook this time, just like you do Clouser style. So if everybody wants to tie one of the bead chain eyes on, so just put it on a little base behind the eye. You don't need to use the thread on the whole shank of the hook. You're just tying behind the eye. So when you look at the different flies I got there, you can tell how close the eye of the hook is, or the bead chain eye are behind the eye. They're fairly close. It's not like normally when you do a clouser, you set them back a ways. So I don't know if you can tell on this how close it is. Yeah. All right. So does everybody know how to put a set of bead chain eyes on, figure 8 wraps, and snug them up and tighten them down? Everybody good with that? Okay. So next we're going to put a little bit of crystal flash on. Just a couple strands is all you need. We're going to tie it, fold it in half around the thread of the hook, and then just pull it straight down like this and just give a couple wraps so it stays on top of the hook shank. And you can just clip it off a little bit behind there. Next, we're going to take our polar flash. You only need, based on the size of the hook and how big it is, not quite a pencil width. You can see about, for this size fly, I'd maybe use that much. So obviously we don't need the whole strand, so I'm going to take it, fold it in half. We can get 2 flies out of this. Set that over there. So now, what I like to do is just kind of take the ends and just pull them a little bit so it's not a straight cut. So what you want to do is you're going to have this folded in, you want to find that midway point. We're going to tie it right behind the eye of the bead chain eyes. Just a couple wraps straight. So now the difference is this here, you're going to pull this down and around. So you want to split it between the eyes. You're going to pull that around like this, like so, and pull it back. And a couple wraps. And that's the fly right there. So you're just going to use whip finish. It's a very quick, simple fly. So you can see how quick and easy that was.
What did you say you did that kept it from having a straight cut?
Oh, you just take your material, and when you cut it off the shank there, just pull the ends so they're not straight, because otherwise you'd have a flush cut. So that's all it is. I mean, you can do these in all different sizes. This is nice and small for maybe they're going after smaller flies that day, but you can see. Then you can trim these up, the end up, just so it's not, and that's it. What
should be the length that you're going for the street behind the hook?
that wound up being
Like a shank?
shank length, 1.5. Yeah, it's just a, and you can shorten those up if you want. So what I would do if it was too long, I just take it and pull them so they're not flush and just trim them up to get the length you need.
I used to fish a very similar fly to this, and if your fibers are a little too long, you will end up getting a lot of short strike. Put on a stinger, put on a trailing hook, or just shorten those fibers up a little.
For trout, not for steelhead.
Yeah.
They tend to take
Yep.
the whole fly.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Trout are short strike the heck out.
and Tony swears by the copper, excuse me, the copper color for brown trout. For whatever reason, the brown trout really seem to like the copper color.
For those, you could probably even go like smaller for the tail.
Yeah,
Now, you
Right.
can also use this same pattern with the weighted head for bass.
oh yeah,
You
everything.
get like a crawdad. They will tear it up as a crawdad, especially the copper gold color, just on the bottom, giving a little jigs.
Yeah.
Same thing, I've caught lots of bass on that.
Yeah, so there's a lot you can do with this, vary it to what you're looking to fish for, obviously. But this is his go-to steelhead fly. When the water's low, clear, or even just clearing up, he would put some weighted eyes on. And said especially when it's cold, you put it right in front of them and they can't just seem to refuse it. Okay, any other questions? It's a pretty basic fly, simple fly. And sometimes I'll use red, like I said, behind the bead chain eyes in order to give it a gill look.